Hi, my name is Wesley Swain, and I will be the manager for Stephen Colbert's Because We Can America Live on Broadway live event. So, before we get started, I'd like to talk about Stephen Colbert, the actor. He is an American political satirist, writer, comedian, television host, and actor. He has earned his own spin off show from working on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And then his show does parody the conventions of television news broadcasting shows like The O'Reilly Factor and The Glenn Beck Show. So Stephen Colbert, who is a liberal, does play a conservative pundit on his show. So Time Magazine did name him 100 most influential people in the year 2006 and 2012. Just a little brief background about Stephen Colbert. So the reason is why I have chosen him. I do believe that Stephen Colbert has a huge fan following. He has a lot of fans who watch his show. He does also have previous stage experience. He was recently in Sondheim's Company taped musical starring Neil Patrick Harris that was filmed for PBS. I also believe he could sell a lot of DVDs based off of not just his book numbers, but also just his television following. I think his fans would totally buy a DVD. Also, I think that Stephen does have a love for the stage, and he does have a lot of that stage experience, which would make for a fantastic and very entertaining live show that could really sell and make profit. Also, I think it would just be plain funny to see Stephen live on stage. So a little bit about the show. The Stephen Colbert Because We Can America Live on Broadway show is a one-night only staging of Stephen Colbert's take on current events and the future of the American people. So it is a live staging of segments in American history that Stephen will do for his view as his character of his conservative pundit character on American history. It will have musical numbers because Stephen is, who does sing, he does come from a musical theater background, would have some very funny musical numbers in there. And then at the end, we would have a live Q&A with the audience who can ask Stephen some important questions. So the real question is, where will we have this? I have chosen the Imperial Theater because it does seat 1,417 people. Also, it is located in New York City, and that is where the Colbert Report is taped. So I feel like not having Stephen travel around the U.S. would cut expenses, and plus, a lot of his fan base is from New York City. And I do believe that it is big enough venue for a one-night event. So it's not too small to where we're not making profit off ticket sales, but it's just right to where we are making decent amount of profit off ticket sales, as well as having the space for the intimate setting for Stephen with the audience. So I think it would be really, really, really smart to have his network Comedy Central broadcast as well as be the network behind it. I feel that Stephen already has a positive reputation with Comedy Central, has been a successful act on their network already, and I feel like it would just bring them only profit. So I have chosen for the production date and air date. The production date will be December 29th. And then the air date, which will air on Comedy Central, will be on a Friday, which is January 10th. The gap here I have chosen is a little long just for the fact of the editing as well as the holidays in between. I feel that given just a little bit more time to edit and would be a positive for the network and for the DVD release, which we have on February 4th, which is a couple weeks out, which does not give much time, but I feel with keeping the show fresh in the viewers' minds that February 4th would be a great selling date for the DVD. So I have included a budget for the show. This first budget is for the above the line. So here we have the director, who is getting a set pay of $200,000, the executive producer getting 10%, the producer getting 5%, and the associate producer getting the 1% there. And that is just for that one day. Stephen Colbert is getting a set salary of $600,000 for the taping of the show. The next thing we do have is a crew budget. So it does list the assistant director, the tech director, camera operators, production designers, lighting designers, audio tech, mic operators, and so on and so forth. I did include the stagehands separately, as well as ushers and production assistants, and they are listed there at the bottom of the crew tab. So they are making, for our assistant directors, making $550, and then the lowest is our production assistants, who are making, who are the ushers who are making the $200 a day. We also have a post-production team down there. So we have the editor, mixer, and graphics. So our editor is signed on for 10 days at $400 a day. We also have our mixer, who's on there for 10 days, as well as our graphics guy, who's on for 5 at $300 a day. Our next column over here is our promotion and miscellaneous. So we do have our advertisings, our press kits, our giveaways, websites, and insurance and catering. The insurance is really important, so I wanted to make sure I included that in there. And just the overall advertising is very important to get the word out that this show actually exists. So I have included overhead there for the admin overhead and the contingency just in case. So there is $43,000 for that. And so our promotion and miscellaneous does come out to $1,922,000, but that does include that theater insurance as well as the show insurance, just to make sure that we are on the safe side. When researching Stephen Colbert, I did not find anything about what he likes in his dressing room. All I can find out is that Stephen Colbert likes to say that his dressing room is the bathroom. Is the only thing I could find. So I did post some pictures of him backstage because he does like to meet and greet with his fans a lot. I think that's a really cool thing. He likes to take pictures and do his "You're the man" finger there. So I could not find anything, but I'm pretty sure, as our artists and all celebrities do, they have their quirks and perks about what they like in their backstage dressing rooms. But I could not find them for Stephen, but I'm pretty sure he does have some. It's just not on the web. So next, I do have the schedule here. Since it is in New York City, the schedule is not too demanding for Stephen. So it does show him getting up and having breakfast by 7 a.m. And heading to a radio show by 9, just for some publicity for the show that day. Also, we have some publicity shots scheduled at 10 a.m. For the DVD, just so we can get a current photo or the photos of that day of Stephen for the DVD. We also have Stephen going to lunch at noon and leaving for set at 1, and he arrives at set at 2. Hitting wardrobe at 3, hair and makeup at 4, and mic checks and warm-ups, and then the show will begin at 5 o'clock and ending at 8 p.m., which is a 3-hour show with an intermission in between. We also have at 9 o'clock, we have a meet and greet with the VIPs or whoever's there, whoever Stephen's meeting with, which does include part of that Q&A after show, which does start after the show at 8. So we do have Stephen leaving the venue at 11 p.m. Or could be sooner, just depends on the meet and greet. So the schedule for the crew is listed there as well. The crew does start at 6 a.m. Since it is a theater, it is pre-set up with lighting that's already pre-rigged. So we had a later start time. So we do have our executive crew arriving at the venue, which is our producers. And then our crew does arrive at 6 for a stage setup, and Crafty is there for the crew with coffee and the breakfast stuff. So at 7, we have the lighting crew arriving to set up the stage lights. We also have the sound crew arriving, and then we also have at 10 a.m. as our sound checks. Directors arrive at 11, and then the show does start there at 5. So it is broken out there for our crew as well, with us wrapping set at 10 p.m. and then the crew cleanup at 11, and they should be out by 12. So the revenue for the show should be ticket sales, DVD sales, commercial spots, internet streaming, and merchandise sales. I have included ticket sales based off of the 1,417 seats. So we have orchestra seats coming in at $175 with 620 seats in the theater, totaling $108,500. We have our front mezzanine seats for $135, which have 425 seats in the theater for it does look like $57,375. And then our rear mezzanine at $100. And then we have 372 seats of those, so 37,200. So that does give us a total of $203,075 for our revenue just off of ticket sales. Commercial spots, we also have 30-second spots at about $90,000 a spot. And then we have about 46 slots, 30-second time slots there off of the 2-hour show, giving us a total of $4,140,000 for revenue off of our commercial spots. I did not break them down by what networks or who was getting them, but just based off of this, the commercial spot prices and the number of spots that we do have, that will give us a revenue of $4,140,000, which covers a majority of our expenses for the show. So our risk analysis. So there's a couple things I put on here. What if the talent is late? What if the gear gets broken? The crew does not show up, or we have missing crew. We have weather, and since it's blizzard outside, we can't get people there, or non-weather related, there is something going on that is bigger than weather, or we just don't have enough food for crafties. So with that, having a contingency plan. So if the talent's late, we might have to push the show 15, 20 minutes. What if the gear gets broken? Just making sure backup gear, making sure we have enough people staffed and people on call to show up, and just having, could the show be pushed to a later date, which it could be because of our time frame was not so constricted. So what have I learned? So I did learn that it does take a lot of planning to put on a live event. Also, it's very detailed as far as scheduling, budgets, and just knowing what's going on and when. And then just catering to talent's needs, just making sure that you are being a good manager, being there, having the right answers, having an answer. I can see that could be a problem with something like this where there are a lot of moving parts. So that does coming into just being responsible for your workload and being responsible for what you're responsible for, if that makes any sense. So and that just comes down to just having a lot of work involved. So that's what I've learned from this assignment.